Hey, 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 this is Jennifer Allwood, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, where we talk about creating a beautiful home and building a creative business. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm super glad you are here, and we're going to do something a little different this week. In fact, I have several different podcasts coming up for you that I think you're going to enjoy, so be sure and stay tuned. But today, I'm going to do just a little mini podcast, and the reason I'm going to do a little mini is because it's the holiday season. I don't know about you, but I'm sitting here literally looking at my calendar, wondering where the heck did the fall just go? Like, wasn't it just September, like last week? And so as we're all getting ready for the Christmas season and we've just blew through Thanksgiving, I wanted to do just a really short podcast that I think you can get some great meat and potatoes out of without having to sit through and listen to 45 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to talk today to my fellow business owners, my fellow creative entrepreneurs who are trying hard to survive the holiday season. And I've got 4 really great tips that I want to give you guys today that I think will seriously help you in just keeping your cool, and getting through the holiday season, making money and not losing your sanity. Okay. So if you can, grab a pen and a paper, and I'm just going to whip through 4 really good tips that I have for you. And you guys know what I say from my friend Nicole: note takers are history makers. So let's write these down. Okay. My number one tips are for surviving the holidays as a creative entrepreneur. And I say this a little tongue in cheek. Okay. But honestly, tip number 1, remember that you can rest in January. Now listen, this is not telling you guys, just to be working 16 hours a day from now until January 1st. But it is telling you to remember that Q4 as a creative entrepreneur is our jam, right? Like, we can make more money. We can do more sales. We can make more affiliate commission. We can get more sponsored posts in Q4 than we can any other time of the year for us creatives. It's because our industry is very visual. Most of us are makers. People are shopping more in Q4 with places like the businesses we own than in any other quarter. And so sometimes I think it's really important that we remember to pace ourselves throughout the rest of the year. Obviously, now that here we are, late November, it is a little difficult to try to make sure that we're geared up for the next 6 weeks. However, I still feel like that we can pace ourselves while pressing hard in a way that won't leave us burned out in January, but that will make sure that we're putting all in Q4. Literally, you guys, this is the best time of year to offer a painting class, to offer like a girls' night out type of Pinterest party somewhere that you rent out. This is the best time of year for you guys, of course, to be doing coupons for whatever it is that you are selling and making and DIYing and repurposing. It's also the best time of year to release a course. For those of you who are in my Creators Roadmap or my inner circle, you know that I talk a lot about information products and doing webinars and doing membership sites and offering ebooks and e-courses, and those are super important. Q4 is a great time to offer those things. And why? Because here's the conundrum. Most people think nobody's thinking about education or learning or courses or classes in Q4. And while there is some truth to that, people are spending more than ever before. And so I don't always suggest that you open up a course and offer it on Christmas Eve, because that wouldn't be wisdom. But I do suggest that you offer a course for payment that begins in January. Does that make sense? And so my tip number 1 is to remember that you can rest in January. We need to pace ourselves during these last 6 weeks here of the year. However, push hard enough that you're going to finish 2017 really being proud of all the effort that you gave in. This is not the time to be catching up on reruns of, what are some of the shows? The Housewives of Atlanta or Orange is the New Black or whatever. This is not the time for that. Okay. As a creative business owner, this is the time to be focused 100% on business when you can, not taking away from your family, but remembering that you can rest in January. Okay. That's tip number one. Tip number two is like the exact opposite of that. We need to really remember self-care during these last 6 weeks of the year. Okay. And I had the best quote ever from Annie F. Downs at the Business Boutique a while back. And what she said, I wrote it down and now it's ingrained in my mind forever. And what she said is self-care does not mean going to get a pedicure. And I was like, ooh, Annie girlfriend, that is deep and wonderful. And so we need to really remember self-care over this holiday season. That yes, while we need to remember we can rest in January, point number one, we also need to not work ourselves into such a tizzy during the month of December that we can't enjoy it, that our family becomes bitter because of it, that we resent what we're doing, and that we end up being sick and in bed in January. How many of you business owners know that God has a really funny way sometimes of getting our attention by way of sometimes we work ourselves into such exhaustion that the only way that we will slow down and take things a little bit slower and take care of ourselves is for things to literally pop up in our body that require us to have downtime. I know that for me personally, when I push, I will literally end up sick in bed. It just happens. It happens a couple times a year when I behave like a knucklehead, and it's my body's way of reminding me that, Jen, you're a knucklehead and you need to take care of yourself. So think of what self-care means to you. Self-care to you might mean sitting on the sofa in your pajamas all day, someday on the weekend, just watching all the Hallmark Christmas movies. Self-care to you may look like having lunch with the best friend that you haven't been able to spend time with for the last several months because you've been trying to get ready for Q4 as a creative. Self-care for you may look like a pedicure and a manicure and taking an afternoon to read a book for pleasure, not a book for learning how to be a better wife or learning how to be a better business owner or learning how to be a better anything, but just reading for pleasure. Sometimes, and if you guys listen to my podcast on learning versus doing, where I talked about the addiction of sometimes learning and never executing as business owners, I think it's important that we talk about also, we don't have to be in learning mode all the time. I know sometimes I'll get into this sponge mode where I'm like, I want to consume as much information business-wise as possible, because the more I can consume, the more I can do, and the more ideas I get from listening to podcasts and reading books and listening to talks and TED Talks and whatever else. I will think to myself, the more of that I can take in, the better I'm going to perform, the more I'm going to put out, the more money I'm going to make. And actually what I have found is that the exact opposite of that is true. There are times that we just need, as creative people especially, to give our mind downtime where we're not thinking about work. And I'll tell you what happens to me often. It's times when I'm not thinking about work, when I'm sitting on a beach in Florida next to my husband, for a long weekend or something. It's those times when like God just dumps a creative idea into my brain when I'm not even thinking about work. And I'm like, where did that come from? And here's my theory. Okay. My theory is that literally when we quit thinking about work for a period of time, when we literally I'm not going to think about the class I have coming up. I'm not going to think about what I'm going to offer next. I'm not going to think about the sale I'm running. I'm not going to think about, the store hours that I need to be adjusting. When we literally commit to not thinking about work, it's like it opens up some space in our brain for creativity to happen. And so the point number 2 is getting yourself some self-care over the next couple of weeks, taking some downtime, remembering that what we're doing is not a necessity. And most of us are, we're makers, we're DIYers, we're repurposers. These are not things that are life or death situations. You making more signs, more wreaths, more jewelry, more cupcakes, more painted buffets, whatever. The sun does not rise and set on what we do for a living. These are first world problems. And so remember to take care of yourself. You are literally no good to your family and to your business if you have run yourself ragged and literally have nothing left for them during the holiday season. So point number 2 is self-care. Point number 3, baby, you got to press hard on social media from here until the end of the year. Now, a lot of times that will go against what people think should be the case or the situation. And what I try to tell to them is this. I'm going to try to say this in a way that's like as unoffensive as possible. So give me some grace here. But I want you to think about the last holiday that you had with your family, probably just Thanksgiving for a lot of us, right? I want you to think, after your Thanksgiving meal, did you look around the room and how many of your family members did you see on their phone? I would guess a huge percentage of them you saw on their phone. Now, some of them might be just, returning a text. Some of them might be listening to a voicemail. Some of them might be, checking bank accounts or whatever people do on their phones. But I'm going to go ahead and be a betting girl here and bet the majority of them, the majority of your family members were on social media. And here's why. Not everybody enjoys time with their family. That's the honest to goodness truth. Not everybody enjoys it. And also, when we have downtime and dead space, our go-to as Americans right now is our phones. A lot of people, in addition to that, just kind of dumb down and dumb out by staring at their devices. It's just the truth. This is just where we are at as human beings right now. And so during the next 6 weeks through the end of the year, people will be on social media more than any time of year. So for those of you who are bloggers, be posting more things to your blog in the next 6 weeks than any time of year. You'll be able to make more ad revenue than ever before. People will be looking for project ideas on social. They're going to be looking for things that they can make for dinner. They're going to be looking at ways to set their Christmas table. They're going to be looking at gift guides that help them to not have to go shopping if you've got links that they can just shop off of. All right? Press really hard on the social media gas until the end of the year. Now, I want to add to that by saying one other thing. You also need to press hard on social in terms of really being present and vulnerable and transparent and authentic on your social media. So what I'm meaning is, this is the best time of year for you to share a picture of your family wishing your Facebook page a Merry Christmas. This is the best time of year for you to talk about traditions. This is the best time of year for you to come out from behind your Facebook page and literally let your audience know who you are, what you stand for, a little bit about your family, a little bit about what you're doing for the holidays, etc. Does that make sense? And so, of course, use wisdom. But I'll often hear people make the excuses of, well, I don't want people, to see who my kids are or know that we're traveling for the holidays. Okay, I get all of that. But literally, if there's going to be crazies, there's going to be crazies regardless of if they know you're out of town or not. Do you know what I'm saying? And so during this holiday season, you have the opportunity to build deeper relationships with your audience than what you've ever had before. This is the time of year when people are most susceptible to depression. This is the time of year when more people struggle than any other time of the year. This is the time of year when more people are lonely than any other time. And you have this incredible opportunity with the platform that you have to come in, to be a blessing, to encourage, to come alongside, to just cheerlead for other people that you may never get to meet in person, but you also may never know what your words on social media mean to someone. So I encourage you during this holiday season to really press into your social media. If you need help scheduling it, get a VA. For everyone that's in my inner circle, you know full good and well, I believe in getting VA help for our social medias that we're not great at or don't have time for. I never suggest that you outsource all your social media because you're outsourcing your voice and you're outsourcing you. And I can look at someone's Facebook page and tell a mile away if they've had a VA do all their posts. So that's not what I'm talking about. Here's a really great tip for you, okay? Write this down. If you're looking at hiring a VA for the first time, and by the way, I have a list of VAs that I suggest in my inner circle if you're in that group. But if you're looking to hire a VA to help you on your Facebook page for the first time, I suggest that you have them go to a PC and go to your Facebook Insights and to arrange your posts by some of the posts that have done the absolute best for you in the past, and to literally copy and paste those words into a new scheduled post. And the reason that I suggest that is because no one is going to be able to talk like you, my friends. You can hire a really good ghostwriter for your social media. They still won't be able to get the way that you say things down exactly. Does that make sense? Like, and it'll feel to your audience like a bait and switch. So don't do that to your audience. Don't put somebody else in charge of your social and just be barfing up sales posts and blog posts all day. Instead, have a VA go through and find posts that have done really well for you in the past that you worded. It was 100% you. And instead of sharing them, because those posts aren't going to get nearly the reach on Facebook, just have her copy and paste those into a brand new post. I have a VA helping me right now with a couple of posts a day, and then I'm going in live and doing several posts on the fly, which is how I like to operate best. But I will never, and I say that again, I will never outsource all of my social media posting, because your clients, your audience, your followers can smell that a mile away. So as I suggest to you and encourage you to press hard on social media, I also encourage you to keep it you on social media. If you need to get some help, get a VA that can help schedule some things that you've already done. And that way it's still totally 100% you. You need to be posting at least 4 times a day, every single day on social media. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have not missed a day on social media in over 4 years, and we will hit 300,000 Facebook fans this week. And it's because of that consistency. So be consistent. So that was point number 3. Press hard on the social media gas, okay? And point number 4, this is a fun one. Make sure you have really juicy offers this holiday season, and even juicier boundaries. So we talked about, making sure that you have some juicy offers in point number 1 when I said, remember, you can rest in January. But point number 4 has to also kind of do with the self-care, that you're going to need really good boundaries during this holiday season. And the reason you're going to need really good boundaries is because this time of year, more than any time of year, your customers and your clients are going to have requests and situations, and they're going to push you and try to need additional things from you more than any other time of year. And there's a couple reasons for this, okay? A, they're trying to get things done in their house. They're decorating done. They're, meals ready to go, all their shopping done. They're on a schedule, looking at the calendar and seeing Christmas, getting closer and closer every day, just like we are. And a lot of them wait till the last minute. And most of us creative people can completely relate to that. I am a last minute girl, okay? I'm not a shop on Christmas Eve kind of girl, but I'm a let's leave it till December type of girl. And so when people tend to push things off and leave things, inevitably, they're going to press you for more. They're going to want stuff made at the last minute. They're going to want you to meet them in places that you're not comfortable with. They're going to want you to overnight things at a discount. They're going to want you to offer things, coupons that expired last week, still now today. And so it helps tremendously going into the holiday season if you can really establish some boundaries up front. That way, when you have a client wanting you to meet them on Christmas Eve, you've already put the boundary in place. Guess what? I don't meet with clients on Christmas Eve. And honestly, that happened to me one year. One year, I'll never forget, I literally ended up meeting with a client in my home. They were in the middle of building a house on Christmas Eve. And I'll never forget thinking to myself, why on earth am I standing here in my kitchen talking about paint on Christmas Eve when I'm supposed to be off? I mean, I'm supposed to be making my own schedule. What am I thinking? This is not a priority. And so I just encourage you to think about some of the things that you want to make a priority this holiday season and figure out what boundaries you need to put into place so that when people have requests that come up, it's easy for you to say no because you've already thought about it beforehand. And make sure you have those juicy offers, but make sure you have those juicier boundaries, okay? So I hope that that's really helpful, my friends. To recap, remember that you can rest in quarter 4, but don't forget to take care of yourself. Press really hard on the social media gas and make sure you have great boundaries in place for the holiday season. I think all of those things can help us so much as business owners just to remember why we're in business for ourselves, right? I mean, the whole reason most of us go into business for ourselves is because we're so passionate about what we do, and we love what we do so much. And we love serving people by making things for them, by repurposing things for them, by DIYing things for them. But we also have to remember that we have to really take care of ourselves, and we have a family that needs us this holiday season. And it's easy to get so tangled up in quarter four that it kind of, makes us bitter for quarter one. And so I just pray a blessing over all of you business owners who are listening to this podcast right now. And I just pray that you would be able to remember the priorities that you need to have in your life, and that that this quarter four would be so lucrative for you, both financially, emotionally, and spiritually. I just pray that you get to enjoy this quarter four, and that it's not so crazy for you that you miss out on the joy of the season. And so bless you guys. I will be back here again next week with another podcast. Until then, stay creative.